T minus 5 minutes. T minus 4 minutes. T minus 3 minutes. T minus 2 minutes. T minus 1 minute. T minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 0.
Yeah. Look, black and blue lives. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lives. Yeah. Hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah. Hey, podcast lit. I think we got a hit. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lives. Yeah. Look, we got Prince Blue and Steph talking black and blue lives. Yeah. Hey, black and blue lives. Yeah. It's Steph and Blue.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? What is up? It is the Black and Blue Lives podcast. I am your co-host, Dr. Prince Blue. To my left is me, Dr. Prince Blue, if you didn't know that. And to my right, your left, that is retired Sergeant Jonathan Stepp. And we are the host of the Black and Blue Lives podcast, where we break down everything from mental health, trending topics, politics in law enforcement, bad tactics, good tactics, community service, bad community service. We break it all down. And today we're going to talk about politics. The title is the thin blue line, the political thin blue line, actually. And we're going to break it all down. But before we get into that, I got to start off as I always start off every episode, and that is ask my brother Step, how are you doing? How are you doing?
Man, maintaining, brother. I like your new shades.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you.
The new
Because
ones.
I have to ask you that, Step. I have to start asking you that more, because as a white man in America, you got it pretty bad right now. So I have to make sure I check on you.
I need it daily, man.
Yeah, man. I have to check in on my white brothers and sisters, because y'all getting it from all angles. So we have to go ahead and we have to break it down. So let's get into it. Step, here's the truth. In America, you know, cops and politics go hand in hand, whether we like it or not. Politics run on law and order, campaigns, the past crime bills, they cut or inflate budgets, and they make decisions that impact how officers work every single day. Yet when things go bad, those same politicians are the first to point to you and I and the rest of the police. We've turned cops into political footballs, going back and forth, long distance, short distance, intermediate, flares, sluggos, whatever you want to call it. One side says police are heroes, holding society together. The other side paints us as the villains, tearing communities apart. Meanwhile, the men and women wearing the badge, we're stuck in the middle. We're trying to enforce laws written by politicians who may or may not never set foot on a crime scene. So the question is, should police even be involved in politics, or has the job become so political that neutrality is impossible? Tonight, Step, you and I are going to break that down. We're going to break down the messy marriage between politics and policing, and who benefits, who suffers, whether we are, as police officers and law enforcement, pawns, or are we power players? So,
hey, that's deep.
Yeah, you know, I'm a deep guy. Let's break it down. First of all, Step, let's talk about that what recently just happened, because this is perfect. I don't know if you saw that or not, but the video is going viral about MAGA supporters who I guess wanted to be Charlie Kirk 2.0 and wanted to have conversations at a HBCU, and where police come in at, we were tasked to escort them off of the campus because they were causing a disturbance, and camp officials and wanted them gone because it was getting out of hand, and they didn't want any type of incident on campus. So, Step, you and I both have been in that position where we're the neutral party. We're called when there's a disturbance, and when we're told that something has to be done, then we make it be done. Bar breaking anybody's civil rights or anything like that. We're not breaking any laws. But when I saw this, it just made me think of why, when first of all, it shows me how police have evolved from just enforcing laws to we're babysitters, we're counselors, we're social workers, we're enforcers, we're security. Sometimes you can even say we're hired guns, because pretty much, depending on where we are or what the assignment is, we have to do whatever we're told to do. And when that happened, I was like, man, I honestly, I really wish they would have just had the conversation. But I get it from both sides. You show up to a HBCU after the whole Charlie Kirk thing, wearing a MAGA hat. That's you're going to antagonize. You already know what you were doing, what you were walking into. And on the other end, I see with the HBCUs, like, you got somebody here, you got a quote unquote conservative, Republican, Christian, or whatever the case may be, here to have a conversation and to create some dialogue. And just like anything else, it went out the window. Emotions got involved, and then police had to get involved. So, Step, do you think that police officers can truly stay neutral in this type of political climate? Do you think that we're going to ever be able to just be a neutral party and just do what we took an oath to do?
Well, in an ideal world, yeah. But the problem is, I mean, to your point, we're kind of stuck in forces. Sometimes we have to enforce laws we don't agree with. Sometimes we have to, have one party that we may agree with their freedom of speech, what they're saying, and do to disturbance, whatever So our job is to be apolitical, and we, regardless of what we think personally, we have to set that aside and act on the behalf of the government we represent, and be impartial. But it's hard to do, because if sometimes if it's making an arrest and you feel bad for somebody, but you have to arrest them, or so. I mean, we could have these thoughts, or there's a lot of police in the UK who you see the chaos going on there, and I'm sure some of them agree, if not most of them agree with what the people are saying, but they're forced to. They're being told by their employers and their government, how the laws work, that they're to enforce these laws. So they don't have, I mean, unless they quit, they don't have you can't be like, oh, I don't agree with that law, and we're telling us to enforce it. And you can quit, but that's about it.
Yeah. And the bad thing about it is, like, Step, we're human. Police officers are human. We're Christians, we're Catholics, we're Muslims, we're atheists, we're
Democrats,
we're Catholics, we're Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, we're liberal, we're I have yet to see a libertarian police officer, but maybe there's one out there. If you're out there, hit me up. I would love to talk to you and see how you balance between being a police officer and being working for the government. I would love to see that. But yes, that it's hard, because honestly, like, think about it. Like, during the riots that you and I were in, sometimes when you get that protester that's saying stuff that, like, he's at the front of the group and he's saying stuff to police officers, he or she is saying stuff. Sometimes they're making sense. Sometimes they're saying stuff that actually makes sense, and it has facts behind it. Like, I don't understand why this person was shot if they were unarmed. Like, explain that to me. And that's a legit question. It's like, okay, that's a legit question. That's what we can have conversation about. But then I also can understand the law enforcement side, when I'm like, you're asking that while cars are around us burning, while businesses are being rioted and looted, and there's property and physical damage to people and property. So, I have to, me and you, we both have to balance that with your questions is valid, but it's also happening during illegal things that's going on. So as police officers, we have to take care of that first. And I get it. you know, and for the longest time, it was hard for me because my views were pretty much, you know, they were known around my family and my friends, my closest friends. But far as like on the internet and social media, I tried to be careful with what I posted because I didn't want my department to use that as a reason, you know how our department was, use that as a reason to suspend me or question my work ethic or question any of my arrests and things of that nature. But I won't lie to you, Step. After I retired and when I was getting close to retirement, it felt good to express myself and my views and let people know I agree, I disagree. I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with that. It felt good because as a police officer, since you have to be apolitical and sometimes you see things that's going on and you want to address it, but you can't because your livelihood, your family, your bills, your safety, and everything else is tied up into it. That can wear on you a lot.
No, absolutely. And your point too, it was, everybody says it's like a huge weight coming off your chest. And a lot of that is the way I articulated, it's kind of, we're being oppressed almost because we can't express our own views and opinions. There's really, I mean, we have the freedom of speech, but we really don't.
Mm-hmm.
There would be officers that get complained on if they had a Trump sticker on the personal car. People complain and say it was divisive. And I've seen supervisors, and one in Eastway actually, where they were trying to get this was years ago, trying to get an officer to take a political bumper off the personal car, and he was like, "No way!" Like, this is, which that's an overreach. If
it's my personal vehicle,
by personal, I have the right to freedom of expression, but it's not there. You have to watch everything you say. What flag you fly out, if you fly the blue line flag in front of your house, you're worried about offending somebody, someone complaining, and then well, that could be viewed as race. It's just that your whole for me for 22 years, you can't really have a independent opinion about politics or say anything. And in theory, you're supposed to, on your personal time, but that's not how. Especially if you're more in the center or Republican working in a Democrat city, like Pat said, they're telling those officers to stand down and not help ICE. And we see it in Portland now, where there's been 3 months of protest, violent protest, and they're violating, all kinds of laws and ordinances. And the police are told not to go in there and do anything. Just leave it. It's kind of like a wasteland.
Just leave whole cities to burn. And then you got people like Governor Newsom in California that's talking about how he's going to sign legislation. First of all, civics is fun, everybody. Learn it. Put it back in schools. Legislation doesn't mean executive order. I can sign a legislation right now for everybody only can have Philadelphia Eagles memorabilia on. I could do a legislation for anything, but an executive order is what gets done. So when he says about ICE agents not wearing masks and stuff anymore, that's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen because he doesn't supersede federal. So and this is one of the things where I'm talking about when police and law enforcement, we're political pawns, because here you got ICE agents that are doing their job. And by the way, when they said that they were looking for ICE agents, they don't have enough staff to go through those applications of people that want to become ICE agents, want to become federal agents. Y'all don't understand how these political leaders are just using law enforcement pretty much as at their whim. Remember at post 9/11, oh man, to be a police officer, to be in law enforcement, you were lauded, you were applauded. You free coffee, everything. You see a police officer, hug a police officer, talk to a police officer, walk up to a police officer, shake a hand, give a police officer water. And then with the last administration, with everything that went on, police were just rotten to the core. Like no police officer were good. all police officers are bad. Stand down when you see something. Even if people are doing something wrong and you arrest them, you got in trouble. It's just terrible how these political parties can just flip a switch, and law enforcement can either be great people or great occupations to worthless, nothing, lose your job, lose your livelihood, get suspended, get sued. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, my opinion is, ideally, the people in certain aspects of government, I can speak for Charlotte. They want people to drink the Kool-Aid and be on their team. On their team, and it doesn't matter about that. They're just all caught up with perception and not reality, and they want to, you've seen it with for the mayor wanting protection. She bashes the police, but
she wanted protection during the riots.
Yeah, they had to do a poll after the Charlie Kirk shooting to guard her house 24/7 because she was worried about something happening.
But I thought police can't be trusted. So why do you want police to guard you? And then let's also talk about the Trump bumper sticker. Listen, I don't care if it's a Trump sticker, a Biden sticker, a Clinton sticker. I don't care what it is. It's funny how putting any type of presidential bumper sticker or a thin blue line flag or anything like that on your personal vehicle or on your social media is wrong. But remember, during Pride, you can have police officers on floats. You can have police officers having the LGBT flag, the Pride flag. You can have police officers shouting their admiration for Pride. That's not a problem. But if you support any politician, you support any gun law or anything like that, you're immediately brought down to IA, or you're brought to the office, or you're looked at as a bad person.
And what they try to do, and in this instance, and I've seen some others, and not just our department, but if you drive to work in uniform and you have a political, I support Trump or something, then you're at that point you're representing the police department, even though you're your POV, personal or owned vehicle, or you drive that vehicle off duty and you get out of uniform, and it's ridiculous. So, but that just shows you that you have to. I mean, it's just get to the point where a blue line sticker could be offensive, and I don't think it's a good idea to put one on your car because your car's get broken into.
Yeah, you'll become a target.
You'll become a target, but.
Think about it. The American flag now is a trigger.
Yeah.
The American flag.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing in the UK where the white flag, I forgot what they call it. It's named not King George. I think there's one. There's someone else. It's like white with a red thing on it. But yeah, they're getting arrested for flying that flag because they said it's intimidating people. What do they say? 30 people a day in the UK are getting arrested for reposting if they repost a tweet and someone finds it offensive. That happened they're all about freedom of speech, but that happened here in the United States during the 2016 elections. The guy in Florida got locked up and federal charges for making a joke meme about something something about Hillary Clinton to vote for. You could text this number instead of going to vote or something, and they said it was voter suppression. But
you know what's funny, Steph? Let me ask you this. Do you think that police officers should be able to have political affiliation on their social media?
Oh, I think so. And the issue too is that last year we had the president of the FOP he's a lieutenant in Houston, Texas. He's a good dude. He came to speak at a Republican women's luncheon. Mm-hmm. And I invited, as well as some other, a lot of officers and stuff, and people were scared to come because they were scared because there's a policy saying, that you can't be affiliated with or go, show which side you're on in political events, but they wouldn't come to listen to him speak because they were worried about getting in trouble. Yeah. and it was the head of the FOP. But there was any issue on the other side during the 16 or 20 riots when someone took a side for the BLM, or said something divisive, or took a knee when the chief took a knee and put his hand in the air while these, he was during the peaceful protest. But we've been getting our asses kicked all, after 7, 8 p.m. every night until 4 in the morning. And he comes in and takes a side, and they make comments that, see, that the mayor could be political and say, make comments about a side, or the police chief or the higher ups, but as an officer, you're just not allowed to say anything. You got to keep your mouth shut and do as you're told.
And that's why I disagree, Steph. I don't think police officers should have anything on here, but not for the reason that you like. I fundamentally don't disagree with what you're saying. Yeah. But the reason why I disagree is because with everything so convoluted, let's say I'm running for president or whatever, and a police officer chooses to support me, because as a society we are so dense, we are so obtuse, and we are unable to have contextual conversations and understand context and nuances of supporting people. That means everything that I support, that means you support. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's like, if you support me, or if you support Trump, or you support Biden, that means you agree with everything that they do. Everything, every policy, every thought, every move, every decision, you support that. And then the perception will ultimately always ruin everything for everybody. That's why I think we should, as police officers, we should remain, as long as we're in this uniform. It sucks, but that's one of the sacrifices that we make. We should remain apolitical, because number one, if you're a very, very good police officer, which you and I were, I would hate for anything that we do, the quality of work that we do as police officers as a whole, come down to, he had a Trump meme on his page, so that's why he arrested that black man.
Yeah, he used excessive force at the
right. He used excessive force. If you look at his page, he supports excessive force because Trump is for indemnifying police officers. He's for absolute immunity. And that's why I say we should be apolitical, because people are unable to have context or nuance when it comes to politics.
Yeah, and you're in the public eye, and it comes down to perception and what people thinks. That's
it. That's all it matters is that you're bald and you like Trump. That's it.
Yep. I'm a racist.
It doesn't matter it doesn't matter that I speak up for you and I say he was my supervisor, and he has never ever said anything racist or told me to arrest anybody because of the color of their skin. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. You have a Trump meme on your social media page, so you are completely racist.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
That's it.
Point. Yeah. That is
it. It's nothing else to it, and that's why I miss. Trust me, I miss being a police officer. I miss the people. I miss really being out there on the front lines and making a difference. But what I don't miss the part of me that is not allowed to really speak my mind and tell people how I really feel about things. That's the part about being a police officer that it wears on you mentally, because when you see something that's absolute wrong, like, all I ask for is for everybody not to be fair, because fair is where you judge pigs and you get funnel cake. Everything I just believe in equal. If I can't support a certain political or a certain social group, then you can't do it. If I can't have a thin blue line sticker, you can't have a pride flag. If I can't have a Biden sticker, you can't have a Trump sticker. If I can't kneel for George Floyd, you can't kneel for George Floyd. You understand what I'm saying? So when the chief did that, which he did do that, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was dead ass wrong, and that's when he had already lost troops a long time ago with the whole body cam situation, the way he handled stuff, and the vest situation. He really lost his troop. Your troops are getting their asses handed to them for something they had nothing to do with, and you're going to take a kneel and stand behind somebody who, for all intents and purposes, and I will say this again, Derek Chauvin is the most idiotic person. Is this still the 21st century or the 22nd century? 21st century. 21st?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He is the most idiotic person of the 21st century. All he had to do was get the fuck up. All he had to do was get off of Floyd, and we would not be here. But we're here because he let his emotions, he let his ego get involved, and he stood there, and now he is the poster child for everything that is wrong for law enforcement. And he is the reason why chiefs are taking knees and just saying, forget my troops. I don't care about them. It's all about me, and my agenda. Chauvin, it's all your fault, buddy. It's all your fault because you could not get off. The meth head was probably going to be gone anyway. But because of you did that, you gave him an out. You gave him a reason. And now this is where we're at as a community.
And they were looking for something then, and they're looking for something now that they could just wait for it. That, you know, the ICE building was attacked today. Was it Dallas? I think it was attacked. So,
one person down. I think it was 2 people dead, 7 injured, or something like that.
And they were detained immigrants or legal immigrants, and the dude killed 1 or 2 of those guys and shot a third.
Terrible shot. Terrible shot.
He's supposed to be he was doing it for whatever reason. But there's all these, and I'm not saying there's never been violence on the right, because there has been, but like, yeah, so you got Dylan Ruth, who the difference is, in my opinion, is Dylan Ruth was a racist who went in and killed the black people of the church in North Charleston or Charleston. But people in the center or the right weren't being like, hey, somebody, you know, those people in that church down there are Nazis and fascists and a threat to democracy. If we don't do something about it, the United States is over. You know, if you start saying that, and then some nuthead was like, well, wait a minute. And I don't even know if Dylan Ruth was on the right. He was just a white dude that it was a racist and killed black people for being black. And no one doubts that. But no one could say anyone other than the real Nazis and Ku Klux Klan people who were chirping in his ear. Nobody on the right, left, or center were calling out anybody to encourage those people to go do that. And the difference now is all this rhetoric, I can say,
rhetoric,
you know, calling Nazis and fascism and threat about the ICE agents illegally kidnapping people. And people were, you know, you see these videos and people are like, well, they got their face covered. So they're like, you could use deadly force because you could say you really don't know they're a cop and you can shoot. I'm like, what do you? So, but these people are putting that shit out there, and it's to be a matter of time. And when someone, you know, is getting detained or someone will get in, they have the vest, they have a badge. It says police ICE, or if it's ATF 8 or whatever, they're easily identifiable as law enforcement. You know, think when we do a vice raid, the vice guys would have balaclavas on because, or the CI, you know, if they're doing undercover work, they don't have to cover their face.
Right.
And it's a different reason there, but there's reason to do it. And I don't know, man. It's you know, between Charlie Kirk and the ICE stuff, and it's frustrating. And I don't know a solution. But if it's okay, you know, if I work at some of these places and I want, you know, like the Durham police chief, I don't know if anything happened to her for her comment she made on her, even though it's her personal. It's funny when someone like that, a black female, makes a comment about the death of Charlie Kirk, and it was tasteless and vile, and then they're like, oh, well, she has her freedom of speech. It was on her personal webpage, so she has her First Amendment right, which is true. But the problem is, as a public employee, a law enforcement officer, or even a banker at Wells Fargo, if I'm like, I'm glad Martin Luther King got blasted. Yeah, get some. Like, there's gonna be consequences for that, and
absolutely,
it's not. That's not count. help me out.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture. Or it's not your violation of First Amendment like we talked about last week. It's something that I said that who wants to a government or anybody should want to employ me. But these people have been so bold for so many years and kind of encouraging things to happen. Not everybody on the left. And I say what the far left, or the woke, far woke or whatever, getting these people
the radicals
amped up, and it just takes one Yahoo, man. They get some crazy. Of course, it's almost always white dudes, crazy ass white dudes. They're like, hey, wait, I don't want to. If I take out Hitler, I'm going to be a hero. Or if I take out a fascist, I don't have anything to live for. I might as well take out an ICE agent who's kidnapping people off the streets. And that's where the danger comes from. And so,
I mean, that's absolutely where the danger comes from. And you know what's funny? Because we've been doing this podcast about 40 minutes, and I kid you not, somebody will find a clip to where I was talking about George Floyd, and they'll break it up and they'll make it seem like I was jumping on George Floyd. They would totally skip where I said that Chauvin is the dumbest MFer in the 21st century. It's all his fault. They'll skip that. They'll skip where I said the kid showing up with the MAGA hat to the HBCU was totally wrong. He knew he was antagonizing them. He wasn't showing up in good faith. He wanted a viral moment, and he got it. They'll skip all that because that's the problem. Everybody wants to be offended. Nobody wants to listen. Everybody wants to find a reason to be mad. Everybody wants to find a reason to lash out or say it's the right's fault, it's the left's fault, it's the middle's fault, it's the far left, the far center, all this other stuff. Let me tell you something. When it comes to policing, the only side 99.999% of police, the only side we're ever going to be on and stand up for is law and order. That is it.
Yeah.
That is
you can't
it.
take your religion. Like, you can't be even like, well, I'm a Christian, so I feel like
I can't take somebody's life. You better take somebody's life.
Or a Muslim, or but you can't. You have to put when you're on duty, when you're working, you got to put your political views, your personal views, your
orientation, everything goes out the window. The only thing that you keep is your ethics.
And we have to go to you hear by the letter of the law. What is the federal law? What does state law? What do the local ordinances say? What does the policy say? And go by that. And there's times when you and I both have seen it where a supervisor would give an unethical order or unlawful order, like, hey, go arrest that person, lock them up. And I'm like, well, shit, they didn't do it. I don't have probable cause. I don't have nothing. What am I to charge about? Just like, well, no, because we saw it in the riots. When you go do that, and you do what they tell you to do,
it comes back on you,
and you get sued. They hang you out of fucking dry. Like that happened to some of my buddies in the 16 riots. So they were told to do something, and they did it, and they ended up getting sued. And then it came from the very top in the legal counsel, and then all of a sudden there's an eye investigation, and they get sued, and they're pointing the fingers at the officers. I didn't.
Because at the end of the day, what are they going to say, Step? You should have known what?
You should have known better.
You should have known better. Hey, if Step, if you ever said, hey, Blue, go arrest that guy, what we got, Sarge? Then you would have said A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah,
it is different. It's totally different. If we're hitting the fan and we're pushing, I'm like, put that guy in cuffs. Then you do it, right? Because you're fighting, like, because what you don't want to happen is we're fighting a guy and somebody came up and punched me, but we can't quit fighting this guy. And then the next officer gets there and you're like, arrest that guy, put him in cuffs. That's okay, because if he does that and he's in the wrong, it's on me. I don't have time to give him my PC, while we're fighting people who needs to be detained. But the thing we're talking about is, hey, this is a controlled environment or whatever, and you have time to stop, think, make a plan, know what you're doing. It's not a split second decision. And And sometimes you have to, it's just, I've seen supervisors make bad decisions and try to tell people to do stuff they can't do if it's on a search warrant or this other stuff, and they get their feelings hurt. But you need, they'll throw you on the bus. So
back it up, roll it over you
Yeah.
again, back it back up,
Yeah.
roll it over you again.
Yep.
Do you think that do you think that right now police is being used as scapegoats for everything that's going
man.
on?
Dude, they're pawns. If we've said it before, we could do everything by the letter of the law, by federal law, state law, and policy. And if it gives them grief and people complaining because it looks bad, you're done. We've seen it happen in Charlotte, with the drug arrest a couple years ago at Airwood and South Tron, where they locked that dude up and get a gun off of him and stuff. And they were like, well, it's just weed. Yeah, it's against the law, but why are we enforcing weed laws? They threw him under the bus. He was doing everything. I watched the video. There was no excessive use of force. The guy, he went to IA. They moved his district, moved in a different district. They sustained the use of force violation, all because the perception. He didn't do it. It was perception.
Let's talk about that too, Step. People don't understand the politics within the police department, how they fuck with you mentally, physically. They fuck with your marriage. How, like you said, you could be on third shift. True story. You could be on third shift because why? Because that leaves you off for the whole day, so you're able to take your kids to school, you're able to pick your kids up to school, you have to take care of your kids, you're able to go on doctor's appointments to do whatever it is you got to do. To only have a MFer tell you to your face, we're going to change you to second shift, and then you tell that person, hey, that's not going to work for me, because the reason is that, for those who don't know, for those who not aware, third shift is the absolute worst thing. Nobody likes third shift. Everybody either wants to get to first or they like second. I was one of the crazy ones that I loved third shift. So when I was told to take second shift, I told that person that wasn't going to work. And then, because my daycare, everything else is set up for me to be off so I can be home with the kids while my wife works.
That no one else wants.
Right. And you know what I was told, Steph? You know what I was told? I was told, well, you're going to have to figure out something. And you know what I said? I said, well, I quit. And the look on that person's face, they were in complete shock. You know why, Steph? Because they wasn't expecting me to quit. They was expecting me to grovel. When I said I quit, it shocked them so bad that another person that was in that meeting, they was like, wait a minute, hold on. Let's take a step back. Let's get time to think about it. And I was like, it's nothing to think about. If I go to second shift, I quit. And these are some of the politics that you deal with in the department. They expect you to grovel. They think that they can mess with you. They think that they can just do whatever they want to. You know why? Because of your love for the job. And financially, you are tied to that job. Mm-hmm. And they put you on different divisions. They put you in different departments. They move you. They mess with you. They mess with your shifts. Yeah. And they bank on you loving the job.
Yeah, they even say, I had told me, because I kind of bucked the system when I was going through retirement about how they were, about my videos and stuff. But I was told by the deputy chief, was like, hey, just take it and smile. Doesn't matter if you're right, doesn't matter if you're wrong, just take it and smile.
No.
And then you'll get rewarded based on your kind of obedience of. And I'm like,
no, you won't.
No. And I'm like, if I feel like I was done a certain way, I have certain things I could do. Like, basically, when I appealed I had for my TikTok videos, and we talked about, even I had approval from IA, my captain, everybody to do it. Well, it ended up getting suspended, and uh, uh, I don't know. That kind of blew through me off track because it pisses me off. But yeah, they're like, hey, and so the department gives you the right to appeal it, right? It's a civil service. So I was like, okay, cool. I want to appeal it, and they were like, and they basically said the deputy chief said, hey, do you like your position? And I was a street crime sergeant in Still Creek. I was like, yeah. They're like, well, you can stay there if you don't appeal it. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, like that's kind of not fair. And then I'll appeal it anyway. And guess what? Third shift. I was one of the senior sergeants in the city, the senior CRU sergeant in the city, and they put me on third shift in the district for the furthest away from my house over patrol. So I was one of the senior sergeants in the city, and now I'm supervising as punishment because I didn't comply, even though I'm just doing something the policy allows me to do. If I don't agree with it, I can appeal it, but since I appeal it, they have to do extra stuff, and then they punish me.
And you know what? And you know what? To the people that say just grin it and take it, you know why you shouldn't take it? Because then let's say when it's time for you to go up for lieutenant or another spot, guess what they're going to bring up? Your violations.
Oh yeah.
This is why you're not. This is why we promoted so and so ahead of you. They had less violations than you. But wait a minute. I was told I would be rewarded if I just take this. Who told you that? Who told you that? Who said that? I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you sign off on something that you don't agree with? Blah 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 blah. Why wouldn't you? And that's why you should never take something if it's not on you. The one thing I always did, if it was something was my fault, I will fall on the sword.
No, absolutely.
If it 100%. Was not my fault, I'm not falling on the sword.
No, at 100%. No. That's the way I always operate. And the thing is, too, I respect myself as a man more than to be bullied, and take it sitting down.
Yeah,
but that's just the inner works of the politics, not liberal or Democrat, just the politics of the police department we're talking about.
Absolutely.
But then they want people who drink the Kool-Aid and don't do anything. And to your point, maybe I get in line and say I'm sorry, I was wrong, even though I didn't think I was. And then it's up to the promotion process, and they're like, oh well, you guys are about the same, but this person had never been in trouble, or didn't have a write-up, and then so then I pick them. Well, that person may have not done anything their whole career. You can't judge somebody. You got to look at what they're doing if they're getting complaints, because some, as we know, some officers, they don't do anything, so they're never to use the force.
They go to the graveyard and go to sleep. They sleep on duty. They don't do nothing. They don't take calls. They don't clear calls. They spend 45 minutes to an hour on a noise complaint. Like first of all, if you don't get it, if you haven't got called in or gotten right up, that means that you haven't been working. And it's sad to say, because you don't want officers out here that get in trouble. Don't get it twisted. I'm not advocating for officers getting in trouble. But sometimes when you're doing stuff and you're trying to make a difference and you're working and you're gung-ho about this job, there are going to be some issues. There are going to be some gray area things where it's like, you really didn't have the probable cause you think you had. Or, you wrote this wrong. This wasn't right. Something's going to happen. And that's fine, because we're human. We make mistakes. But long as you're not stepping on people's civil rights or anything like that, you're going to be good. But I can remember getting write-ups because I cursed at somebody. Because I told somebody to shut the fuck up. It happens. It happens. But these are the things that people use to push you down. And like I said, and then we're going to bring it home. Another reason why to be apolitical, because guess what? If you got somebody that's higher up, that's in charge of whatever, guess what they'll probably do? I don't like his social media. I don't like that he went to a Republican convention. I don't like that he went to a Democratic convention. I don't like that they're at the Pride Parade. Yep. And these are the things that you have to deal with. These are some of the political things that leak into your personal and your work and your professional life that can hinder you from moving up. The politics of the law enforcement.
Absolutely.
So, well, that's good.
Oh,
I mean,
gets me fired up talking about the administrator. There's some good ones we talked about. Not Charlotte's a large agency. The small agencies have the same stuff, if not worse, and then some bigger agencies. So it's frustrating. And we talked about this before. The most stressful part of the job is not being called a cracker or pig or F12 or this. It's the administration. You go out here. What's the first thing you do when somebody's reaching and like, oh my God, it's on, and you're fighting with them. You're like, I'm going to get in trouble. You're thinking, oh shit, I'm getting in trouble, and I got to use all this stuff's going through your mind. Sergeant's gonna be pissed off because he's got to do paperwork, and you're not focusing on the task at hand, and it could fuck you up mentally, man. But that's just sad that's where the stress comes from, and not the guy that you're fighting with that could potentially kill you.
Remember, speaking of cracker, Step, was you with me during the riot? What was the which one was the riot where the football player that was charging towards the officer?
Yeah, Kurt, that's 16. Yeah.
Kurt, yeah. Were you in my group for that riot?
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were on a bus and this was before I realized that I may have been diabetic, and I was hungry and I was pissed off and I was aggravated, and I was on the bus and I was like, I'm hungry. And the one thing about the fellas, they always looked out for me. They was like, Blue hungry. When Blue hungry, we gotta make sure you eat whatever. And I was so hungry, and I was like, man, I'm hungry. I need something to eat. And one of the officers was like, hey, we got some. He was like, I got some crackers. I was like, no thanks. That's why we in this shit. And I can tell you that bus just broke out laughing. Everybody was like, because it was stressful and it was tense. And I was like, look, yeah, I was just like, look, I was hungry. But that's just
some cop humor too.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Cop humor, there's dark humor, and then there's cop humor. Cop humor is in the sewer. It is dirty. It is messy. And if you have soft feelings or emotions, it won't work out for you.
NC-17 at best. It is.
It's a different type of humor. It's where we'll have to do one on cop. We'll have to do an episode on cop humor. But that's all we have for today. For anything, I hope that if you got anything from this episode, I hope you got that police as a whole, we're apolitical. We're supposed to be apolitical. Let me rephrase that. We are supposed to be apolitical. When we're got that uniform on and when we're working, it don't matter if you're Democrat, it don't matter if you're Republican, it don't matter if you're conservative, it don't matter if you're liberal, it doesn't matter if you're libertarian, it doesn't matter if you're Catholic, Christian, Judas, Buddhist, Islamic, it does not matter. We are supposed to be neutral, but due to policies and higher ups with agendas, sometimes we're caught in the middle. And to answer the question on the beginning, are we neutral? Are we pawns? I will say in 2025, police officers are pawns, and we have to try our very best to not be pawns. We have to work within what we have, and the best way that we cannot be pawns is we need strong leadership and strong legal counsel to back us up when we absolutely are in the right and we make the right decisions, to not let politics and agendas get in the way of police officers doing good damn police work.
Well said.
That's it. All right, everybody. We appreciate y'all. Thank you. Remember, you can find me at Real Prince Blue on all social media platforms. You can find him Step2223 on Instagram and TOG4280 on TikTok. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow across all social media platforms. Share this episode if you can. And please remember, check on your mental health. Therapy is good. Make sure you take care of your chickens and your mentals. And we will see y'all next week. Peace.
Yeah. Look, black and blue lives. Yeah. black and blue live. Yeah, hey, that's a new vibe. Yeah, hey, Park Catalyst. Yeah, I think we got a hit. Yeah, hey, black and blue live. Yeah, look, we got Prince Blue and Steph talking black and blue live. Yeah, hey, black and blue.